G'day everyone, Aaron from Boostock. So I keep getting lots of questions about this thing, so I thought I'd do a video and do a bit of a candy hunt on what's in it, not in it, how it's been, what's the story, and all the sort of background to this beautiful old beast. So it started life as a 6-cylinder and auto column shift of all things, and the column shift mechanism is still down there in the engine bay. I might have forgot to take that out while I had the motor out, my bad. So my friend swapped a car for this with some cash his way. It came to me with the 440 already in it. It had a MSD distributor and a Holley carburetor. In its past life, back in we believe the late 70s, early 80s, possibly even the early 90s, this thing was drag raced. It's had the big feet fitted by some previous owner with tubs to fit. It had the nitrous kit fitted. That was already in the car, not mounted like that. I've sort of changed that a little bit, and it is basically how it was then. Then I got hold of it, and well, this all happened. So let's go through a little bit of what happened. So the initial idea was to have a bit of a retro tech type of a feel to the engine bay. We wanted the bay to look not LS. Don't say those words around this owner, he might hurt you. We wanted a muscle car sort of a look with a more modern feel to it, but we still want to have that feel that, you know, one of the greats of the 70s and 80s, like Carroll Shelby or Smokey Unique or Banks or one of those kind of guys would have sort of built it, that kind of flavour. So I've kept the original Mopar orange. I've transferred that over to the turbochargers. I've painted the cores and all those kind of things. Now, most people who are astute with turbochargers will realise that these aren't very big, and as the story of this car progressed, we already knew that. So being that it was originally raced, we already knew it had some hardware in the bottom end. We knew it had roller rockers, it had cast iron heads at that point. So we weren't going to build the motor, we were just going to leave it as it was, run lowish boost, like 10, 12, 15 pounds of boost, and just leave the turbos do their thing, and just leave it a nice pro-styled street car. Unbeknownst to us, the nitrous from its past life had done some significant internal damage. I don't know why. Head gaskets were stuffed and cam bearings were delaminated, and there was cam bearing material in everything, and basically the innards had to come completely out and start over. So this is where we are now. So it's got forged rods and forged pistons. We went to 9-to-1 compression pistons. Got some really cool trick flow heads banged on there. They were nice and cheap. Not. And now with the motor with a dedicated camshaft and package designed to make power under boost, these things are too small. So we have decided to leave these as they are and just run them out. They'll be our power limiter. It is what it is. We're not changing them. Well, not this round. Hopefully not anyway. So I went to and I made some log manifolds. This is a wedge head, it's not a Hemi. It's a 440 wedge. So I made some log manifolds, and again in keeping with that original theme, I tucked the wastegates down really nice and low, and I tucked the outlet pipe out the original inlet tube hole for the carburetor. So that's all nice and neat. Same on both sides, and this side gets very tight with the alternator. We can see there's not a lot of room in between things, which is why this had to happen. So they're tight, and they're tight everywhere. So I've got to make a billet bung here to block this off, and we can see there's not a lot of room here between rocker cover and downpipe. Same with the turbine housing. This side's more. For those not in the know, this is the center line of the car, and there's the throttle. So the engine is off to one side, and that's very common on American cars because of this big thing, the big steering box. So this caused a few little hiccups and a few challenges and those kinds of dramas, like the log manifold only just misses the strut tower and all sorts of funky stuff. Between the old motor and the new one, I've put some new engine mounts on, which caused no end of headaches because the engine actually sat in a different position, which is causing some fun. I went to put the dump pipe in this morning, it now doesn't fit. So I've got to pull the turbocharger off to get the dump pipe in, or pull the brakes off, or something. Yay, just another bit of fun. So in the conversion, I took the distributor off, I took the carburetor off, and they were told to leave the shed and never come back. Went to an Edelbrock EFI intake manifold, ordered the Edelbrock fuel rails, and then I went to town. So these only come in silver because I didn't want to run the Edelbrock throttle body, and I'll get into that in a second. So I painted it with a satin black first and a very light wrinkle to try and match these rocker covers. There were some fittings and bosses on here in a few different places which I cut off, welded up the holes, sanded it back, and refinished it just so I kept that nice clean look to the engine bay. So with the lines are here, which I sanded them obviously, and the fuel rails and the electrical lines and all the other, it all got a nice flow to it. So it's got quite a nice look, quite a nice appearance to it. So the reason I didn't use the Edelbrock throttle is I wanted to use an LS. So in Australia, LSs are everywhere, everyone's got them, every retail shop's got parts for them, they're plentiful, just like America. So I went to a 92mm throttle, which was nearly identical bore to the intake. I had to redo some holes and a bit of light porting inside to match it and all those kinds of things, the wiring up. So electronically on this engine, it is basically an LS. I run LS coils, we run LS temp sensor, LS O2 sensors, all the electrics on this are basically LS, just for the simple fact that we can buy them anywhere. So if he's on a tour or gone for a cruise to 5 hours from home and it breaks down, he can buy parts, and quite plentifully. The alternator is genuine Mopar. I don't know much about it. We did test it. It cranked out like 85 amps at like 1800 RPM, which is fantastic because this car now eats amps. We need a lot of electrical power to run everything. We'll see this nice little tension down here. I had to do that because there's no room over here to tension the belt. This is actually a timing belt adjuster off a RB Skyline. So I machined that down, made that fit. The crank trigger is homemade. I made a collar to sit inside the belt drive, bolts to the balancer. I picked this tone wheel up off my brother-in-law who had it for another build and didn't use it. It's just a cherry sensor. I made a bracket, and that's all pretty simple. Upstairs for the camshaft sink, this was a bit of fun. This, and pardon my friends, don't abuse me about this is actually a Jeep part. Yeah, I don't understand either. But it just turns out that the drive on this matches the old school Mopar drive for the distributor. There's a bit of a length difference in the body, and you need an adapter and that kind of thing. So what I did is I bought a dirt cheap distributor from eBay, chopped it to bits, bored the guts out of it, put 2 O-rings in it and sat this in, and then used the original clamp to just mount it back home again. So that gives me my cam sync. Now I've got crank trigger, so I can run sequential EFI and sequential coil on the, and everything runs as per the way I want it to. Now we'll notice this car has been an interesting path. It has a boss there for the heater hoses, but they were never fitted, even though it's got all the switches inside, never ever run. So what I do is I've taken the heater hose circuitry here on the water pump, pulled out the original bits and put these in, and they feed both the turbochargers. So this is all sort of not plumbed in. I'm about to swap this out for Speedflow line and upgrade it all while I've got it apart and put new T's and stuff in it. It runs over under this guard, which I'll just tuck around here for a second. And I've got a cooler mounted up here with a fan on it to scrub heat off the turbochargers, just to try and take some of the load off the radiator, because this big monster does like to get hot. It is auto, it's a 727 torque flight, so it's had the converter cut open, reveined and finned, and whatever those guys do has been done. The auto's been pulled apart and reclutched and whatever else, again, whatever they do. I put a cooler in under this guard for the trans, again with a fan, so it's got a massive cooler to try and keep oil temps for the trans in check. Don't want it overheating. Intercooler at the front. There's a new 4-core radiator. It's off getting a shroud as we speak with a new fan, which is causing some problems down here. You'll see in my last video. It's all causing some space issues, which is kind of ironic considering the sheer size of this thing, which is best described as a land barge. I'm out of real estate. As you can see, it's packed. It's packed good. My buddy made the sticker for me. We had about 5 different editions of this. I really like where that went. Pretty happy with it. It's pretty cool. So I stuck one on the intercooler just for, like if you're at the car show and got the bonnet up, or doing a wedding or a formal or that kind of thing. Another one down there covered a few little marks in the firewall, which just looks nice and just sets it off. So anyone taking a photo can get a very clear reference. It's not LS, it is actually Mopar. And tried to make it very original sort of styled. I use this original styling in the letters and that original look, again, just to join the flavour together, try and make it more, one. We're targeting to try and head to, if the turbos let us, go for 770 horsepower. That's the target at the wheels. See how we roll. So that's her in a nutshell at the front end. There's probably heaps I've missed. It's got a lot of tech, this thing. I've dropped in some Bosch knock sensors. There's one on each head, one on the other head down the back. It's got fuel sensors. So if it's on power and the fuel pressure gets lazy, it can derate the engine or shut it down. Same on the oil. There's one on the oil as well. Same thing. If the oil pressure goes away for whatever reason, it does the same thing. It's got a strategy in the background to control all those systems, so we save this from bang issue. Fit an electric water pump in some of the testing I did. Found that to be a marvellous piece of hardware. I actually drive, that's a CVR pump, I actually drive that with a Davies Craig controller mounted in the glove box. It's actually just sitting in there. I need to put a bracket on it. Does not have a master cylinder, a booster. So you've got to plan a little bit ahead with this thing, because that makes it want to go really good, and this, well, it helps stop. It does have disc brake conversion in the front. It's pretty cool. It's nice to see, but it certainly needs a little more. So if anyone's got an Anchor for sale going cheap with an injection seat, we might need it. Inside is basically very tidy. It's very, very nice inside. The hood lining's all tidy. It's got a few marks from sitting around. It's getting a bit musty, but next, obviously, I think I did in my last video, there's a box for a race dash. I need to pull this out. It's been problematic. There's a few screws and things that are corroded to brackets and things that I need to gingerly get apart. I made a really nice nitrous bracket. So the button on the left, when you press that, it arms the whole screen and it all lights up with blue LEDs. The computer then takes control of the gas situation. There's a purge button there to for the drag day, and a bottle pressure just to keep an eye on for the driver. There's a boost gauge, which is kind of funny because when this thing's on power, there's no way in hell you're gonna be looking down to see what that's doing. So it's very tidy inside, very happy with it. I do need I still need an ashtray. My OCD is not happy that we don't have one. Down the back, obviously, as I said before, it's got the nitrous bottle. I moved the battery up into there, and I made this really cool addition here. So this is the fuel pump. I put the Mopar sticker on it, and it's off-center on purpose to match the engine. They're twin 044s, just Bosches, and the computer turns them on and off at will. It's a nice little setup. It's just tidy, tucked out of the way. And that's basically this thing in a nutshell. So we put a bit of polish on it yesterday, just a bit of wax, brighten it up. The grill had a few little cracks and stuff around some screw holes, so it's off getting welded up, and we'll redo that. This front panel I had to trim around the tank in a few different spots, so I want to refinish that and clean up the edges with the die grinder and just make it a lot more original looking that I can, even though I've cut it to bits. And those who know will know, and those who don't know don't need to know. Just how it is. It's what I had to do to make this thing fit. And we can see there's no room anywhere to put any more cooler in if I wanted to. There's none to give. So I'm pretty happy how this is going. Tune day's coming in about 3 weeks, so I'm starting to get a little bit stressed because I don't have the radiator done. I don't have it bolted in. I've got to remake the intake pipe, potentially weld in the bosses for the air temp and the nitrous. There's a whole bunch of parts here we see, and the speed flow and stuff to drop into here, which is going to have to happen. There'll be some late nights, I'm assuming, coming very soon. I realised yesterday I have no idea where the engine dipstick is, so who knows where that's gone. It's gone for a holiday. It needs to come home. Don't know where, why, how. Gone. The trans dipstick's in. Currently the shift is still not connected, so yeah, I've still got a lot to do. I need to get it over there on the hoist and get old red there off, but this thing not running is like dragging a dead weight. It is so heavy. Good thing it's got 440 cubes, or 7.2 litre in the modern language. So that's this thing in a nutshell. I'm pretty keen to get trucking on it. I'm just waiting on parts. I've got to do an oil kit down there so I can get the pipe through there now because the new fan motor sits here, and just dramas, space issues. It is what it is. We're trucking along. I think tune day is about 3.5 weeks away, so I'm starting to really put some pressure on to try and get everything finished, buttoned down. I want to start it before then and do a systems check, make sure we've got no fuel leaks, oil leaks, that kind of stuff, coolant's all good, all those kind of things. I haven't heard this thing run in some time, so I'm not even sure what it's going to sound like. I know what it used to sound like, but it's got a different camshaft, it's got more compression, it's got alloy heads, there's quite a few changes. The dump pipes are twin 3.5s that go down to the original twin 3s that go down under the car and out the back. It's got muffler on each bank, I think that's all it's got, so it does have a bit of old school muscle sound to it, so which is quite nice. But I think that's a bit of a wrap up for now. The gauges and everything else on the side will stay, even though the dash will take care of all that. Don't know how I'm going to do this yet. This is starting to do my head in a little bit. I'm really scared of cracking the dash, the instrument panel. Very concerned about that. Apart from that, I'm hoping we can do this. I can live without the dash for tune day, so that will wait unless one of the boys comes over and gives me a hand, but the inside's not really going to change. I've got to make some sort of panel in there to make it look like it should belong there. I have no idea how I'm going to do that yet. I'll probably knock up a few bits. I noticed yesterday this has come from the glass. I would like to find the same piece for this. This has been fitted in correctly and it's just got some foam filler in there to put back together. The owner thinks he's found these chrome strips for this window. If not, and someone knows of some, please let me know. Apart from that, we're trucking along quite nicely. Anyway, that's a bit of the candy hunt. That's how she looks, that's how she works. So she's all new, all fresh. I'm pretty keen to get it together and turn key and make it do what it's supposed to do. Got any questions, drop them in the comments. Hit the like button, smash that notification. I'll try and do more of these as we go along, and I'll certainly do a video on Dyno Day, and I'm assuming all goes to plan. You know, Dyno Days go. We make some positive memories and we make some noise and it makes some horsepower and everything goes well, but we all know how Dyno Days go and sometimes you just come home crying, but this is the way we aim, it's how we roll. Anyway, I've got things to do. I'll talk to you soon. See yous.